All right. And your voice can be heard through mine. Can be heard through my phone, correct?
Yeah, you're doing Twitter Spaces and the live stream at the same time.
Perfect. Awesome. All right. All
You are.
Alrighty. Hey, Ben, if you want to unmute and Paul, if you want to join.
Okay.
Um, yeah, there. We got some requests. Nick, we'll get to you in one moment. What's going on, everybody? We are obviously reacting to the ninth overall pick. Um, yeah, I honestly, everyone can hear me correct? Give me if you can see some hearts in the chat. If you can hear me, everything's good. Um, realistically, there's a lot of options the Spurs can make. I don't want to go too crazy on my initial take. I have somebody who is a reach in mind, but we'll get to everyone else in 1 second. Um, I'll just join in. I'm ready. I want to make sure people can hear me. I want to make sure that is straight. Everything's good. Alrighty. Nick, we'll bring you back up in a minute. What's going on, Dama? How you doing? Ben, you can hear us, correct? Perfect, awesome. If you wanna unmute, we can get started.
We're live.
Oh yeah, perfect. Alrighty. Well, at the end of the day, I feel like most of us knew this was going to be the scenario. There was a 51% chance, correct, Paul?
Yeah.
Yeah, 51% chance. Paul Garcia is in the audience, but he also is in the studio with us, so he is speaking through my profile. If people get confused through that, we are literally not shocked at all. At least I am. I'm not. Paul, how you feeling, man?
I mean, just kind of expected. I was kind of hoping they would move into the top three. That was kind of the only thing I was looking at if they were going to move up. But kind of expected. The percentages are what they are.
Yep. Ben, how you feeling, man? You gotta unmute. Hey Ben, I think you gotta unmute, man. You gotta mute on the stage, yeah. Ben was going in. Go ahead, Ben. Yeah. So we're gonna go around the room, and we do see some requests. We'll get you guys up in a bit. We're gonna get through this discourse real quick. Paul, I'm gonna start with you with the ninth overall pick. I know your draft knowledge isn't the highest,
Yeah.
but I know you have a favorite prospect at that position. So you think we should be?
I mean, I just I rely on you and Ben a lot here, so I'm just looking again at my draft board here, and I see the ninth. I guess right now Jalen Duran is who I see popping up a lot. I mean, that's the guy who's more realistic. He's projected to go 11th from what I see. I agree with you guys. Taking the big is the right move right now. My question to you guys, because I've talked to Ben about this on the Spurs cast, is there's just no way these three teams give up that one of those top three picks with the assets that the Spurs have. There's just no way, right? You and Ben agree there?
It's impossible. Chet is probably going to Orlando. Mo Bamba, his time in Orlando is probably over. And Jalen Suggs, even though he's not the star and the more important piece of this team, him and Chet have been playing basketball since the third grade. Obviously, back-to-back years at Gonzaga as the top recruits, and that chemistry is undeniable. I obviously have to figure out what's going on with Jonathan Isaac and Primo. He's obviously a pretty talented player, but there's no way them, OKC, the Rockets are moving. The big three are the solidified big three, and they have the most, or in the same tier of star potential, and these guys need forwards. So I'll go ahead and give the Jalen Duran discourse real quick. And again, we see the request, and we'll get to you guys in a moment. But when it comes down to it, Jalen Duran is the best center in this class. Not by far, but he's the most NBA ready right now. We have to see his measurements. Right now, he's listed at 6'9", possibly 6'10". In my opinion, he does have the ability to play 5 and the 4 at the NBA. He's more of an Antonio McDyess with Robert Williams attributes as a more of a shot blocker, not really more of a rim protector. He likes to go for the highlight volleyball spike out of bounds. And me and Ben were talking about this in previous spaces. Having him back up Jakob isn't bad. Jakob is a very, very NBA ready top 15 center, top 12 center in the NBA in my opinion. And we need a backup big that can play small ball five and that can space the floor a little bit. His mid range game needs some work. Face up, turn around, mid range jumpers. Free throw percentage needs to increase. His form, obviously, Chip can work on that. But Jalen Duran is he's not my number one option. But we'll get to Ben because I know he loves Jalen Duran. Oh yeah, without a doubt, I don't see them being on the floor at the same time. Jalen Duran, there's nothing there outside 15, 16 feet in terms of offense. His pick and roll game as a roll man obviously is a lob threat. He has flashes of being able to find the open man from the post. In double teams, he in multiple times, multiple occasions, tries to jump skip pass into the third or fourth row or to the opposing team. And, he has to learn how to be patient. He's obviously very young. He's 18. He's supposed to be a senior in high school at the moment. And this kid is probably going to be a top 10 pick in this draft. So you're banking on potential. Obviously, his timeline is very long. Obviously, he has no major injuries reported. And, we'll get into another candidate for this draft at number 9. But I did want to open up the floor. I know it may seem early. I did want to open up the floor for requests. People that did request earlier did end up leaving. If anyone else had an instant reaction that wants to speak, that has their opinion, feel free. We got one. We got my friend Damo. Because this is we want to be able to. While bringing them up, we want to be able to get everyone's opinion and be able to push the right agenda. So, what's going on, Damo? How you doing?
As far as players, I completely agree with you on Jalen Duran. I like him a lot. He's like probably my second favorite player. My first is Jalen Duran. But I love him a lot. I actually think that his upside makes him get him out of Dio if you could like put on a wall over there and eventually grow as a defender. I like his being his guys. I like his never defense. So big fan of Jalen Duran, but let's be honest, man, nothing good happened to us this year. So here's what it is.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. And one thing I want to make clear what Jalen Duran can do on defense is he can be able to switch on greens eventually. Right now, he'll get blown by the quicker guards, the Keldon Johnsons, the Devin Vassell's of the world. But in terms of the more stiff Jason Tatum's, the more stiff, even like the Markeith brothers of the world, those type of guys, we'll be able to hold his own, possibly get a rip. 250, if I'm not mistaken. Bennett, correct me if I'm wrong, his weight and literally craziest measurements that we're going to see become official at this combine this week. So yeah, Dama, I definitely appreciate you. If anyone else wants to join, we'll do these in increments. We want to just get through a couple of these prospects one by one. Yes, sir.
It says, can we find an impact star?
An impact star at number 9. Ben, do you want to go? I have somebody, but you want to go ahead?
I think your impacts.
You can work with the shooting and stuff. You can get him there at some point. You know, if a Benedict Mathurin is there, I don't hate that pick. A Jeremy Sohan, he's a guy that Evan and I have talked about quite a bit. And I mean, we both like him a lot. He's also a guy who's a bit of a project on offense, but can probably guard 3 to 4 positions on defense and could make a huge difference there and let his offensive game work its way up to where his defense is.
I would also add that if you're looking for someone like Keegan Murray, I think that's way more where the Spurs can move up as far as trading up. I think it becomes a lot easier because right now I see him the earliest, him going right now on a mock is 5th and then the latest 7th. So like, you know, you start seeing him get passed up after 4. It's like, I think that becomes way more tradable if the Spurs have a better package to put together, maybe 9 and 20, something like that.
Exactly.
You could do something like that. So I think that, yes, after those top 3, I think like 5 through whatever number is definitely more tradable.
Exactly. So I'm gonna follow up with Ben and the Jeremy Sohan discourse. In my opinion, I know like Ben was saying, he's very raw on offense. 59% from the free throw, 4 shooting from 3 all season long. He has the confidence to take them. The form is okay, but it just didn't fall. And right now, I'm thinking, what do the Spurs want? They want Zach LaVine. DeJounte wants Zach LaVine. They want to be competitive. We don't want to still be in this middle tier of the 8-9 play-in Pacers of the West type tier. And when it comes down to it, Jeremy Sohan has nobody on this roster that is going to come in right now and I don't want to say take day 1 minutes away from him, but the starter position by the end of the season is there from at the 4. His playmaking ability as an initiator, as a role man. Listen, small ball 5, a 3, a 4. I guarantee you Jeremy Sohan will thrive with time in the Spurs system. I know the heavy turnovers, the foul prone, the proneness, the fullback mentality that I like to have. He goes out there. He went out there with Baylor as a 6-man, would immediately want to guard the best player, slapping the floor, super aggressive, and then he gets a petty foul. And then he gets another one. I've seen him, the highs, I've seen the lows. I've watched a ton of film on him. I love him, and I know that his basketball IQ will have him thrive. But let me tell you right now, he may not be there at 9. I know that may sound crazy. I know a lot of people say, oh, you know, baking on Tankathon or other mock drafts. I've seen him as high as 5. I've seen and talked to other draft analyzer guys, and when it comes down to it, it's all about fit with some of these teams who have moved up with like Sacramento. It's all about fit with people who want to be competitive right now, who are not trying to tank for next year's draft, which is fairly better in my opinion. But we'll talk about a couple other prospects. Again, I will open up the room for another person to come up, or we have other comments on other platforms. That was a great question, by the way. Definitely appreciate that. We see a lot of regulars in the room. If you want to speak, we're definitely going to do increments, like I said, with individual prospects as we go on. No telling how long we'll be here. A lot of people in the room. Definitely appreciate you guys. Paul and Joe are with me in the studio. Ben is with us through audio and co-hosting the Project Spurs page. So shout out to them. Shout out to everyone joining us again. But I will pass this to Ben. I know you have someone in mind that we haven't talked about at pick 9, someone that we talked about in our spaces before. So go right ahead.
Clearly, it has to be Jake LaRavia at 9.
Nah, I was just about to ask.
Stop.
Troll.
I was gonna tell Evan about that guy.
Troll. Go ahead.
Had to do it one time for you. There's quite a few guys I like, actually. If we're
Haven't you guys also been talking about this kid named Jeremy Sochan?
That's who he just talked
Oh,
about.
yeah, we just talked about him. Yeah.
What about Marjan Beauchamp? That was Evan's favorite.
At
The
9,
unicorn.
No. Joe, you got to mix that. Joe, no. That was Leonard Miller.
We got to settle Joe down a little bit. He's getting us excited over here.
No, I'm just trying to troll, man. I'm just trying to troll you guys.
But no,
I mean, you want to talk about guys at 9? It's probably a reach, but I know that Evan really likes him, Ousmane Dieng, but it looks like he may be off the board before 20. So
Yeah, right now I have him going 17th right now. That's what I see.
yeah, it's tough to get a good read on where he might go. I mean, there's potentially falls to 20, but if he doesn't fall to 20, I know another guy that I like and that Evan likes is Nikola Jovic, who will undoubtedly be confused with Nikola Jokic just because. Very excited for that confusion, by the way.
No, yeah.
But a guy who could fall to the Spurs at 9 is Dyson Daniels. He's played in the G League this year. He's listed at 6'6". A lot of people are convinced he's grown to be 6'8", 6'9", which would make him considerably more valuable than he already is. I mean, he's projected as a top 10 pick. So adding those 2-3 inches as potentially a point forward kind of guy is pretty huge. I know Evan has some strong feelings on him.
Yeah, so Dyson Daniels is the best point of attack defender for a guard in this draft. His intangibles, his feel for the game screams professional, screams Spurs. In my opinion, I've been on record of saying he's like a mix of Lonzo Ball and Josh Giddey. He's not really a playmaker. He's more of a ball mover and an initiator. He's not afraid to make the crazy cross-court passes. He's not afraid to make these Luka, I want to say just fancy no-look dimes, but the right hesitation, the right eye ball movement to throw off a guy, and then the right slip down when you least expect it. There's a lot of worries and a lot of shooting mechanics that, kind of have him fall down to our 9-10 range, that he would be a top 5 candidate. This kid would shoot 36% from the get-go, but he fixed it the last 10 games. And when I say fixed it, a lot of these shots were not only wide open, but even in that sense, he was hesitating. And I'm not the highest on him at 9, solely because there's another guard we're going to get into, and that's who Joe was trolling about in a second. And he's a big guard. He's a big guard. And I know this may seem like a reach at 9, but just how Ben of saying, when you have a tier, when we look at these tiers of these prospects, Ousmane Dieng probably won't be there at 20. Leonard Miller, who I'm about to talk about, will not be there at 20, in my opinion. And like last year, we reached on Primo, shocked everybody, including myself. And Leonard Miller is a guard. And when I say guard, I'm saying a big guard, all caps, a 6'11" demigod, Lamar Odom, rookie Lamar Odom, super skinny, has to fill out his body. But Ben, I know you're super high on him, so I'm gonna let you.
So the Spurs go ahead and draft this 6'11", guard, Leonard Miller.
Mm-hmm.
Who would you let go and replace him with?
So right now, he has a wing-like body, but his playmaking intangibles as a guard, he grew 7 inches over the last year and he didn't lose a step. He's never had a major injury. He flies up the court, and when it comes down to it, that is a very, very, very rare prospect build that you just can't pass up on. I know everyone's saying, "Oh, we could have tanked and gotten a better chance at Ched, Jabari, Paolo, 6'11", power forward." How about a 6'11" guard with playmaking ability that can pass, playmake, and has to work on the shot though. Has to work on the shot. That shot is.
It needs some work. Work.
He shoots with his left hand, and like I've said in multiple cases, shoots like he's shooting a smaller basketball, like an object that's off weight, like a cantaloupe, or like something that he has to push harder with a flick of a wrist.
that's hurting.
He's got
him.
those Boban hands.
to a degree, more like Nerlens Noel hands, like paddle boards for hands. He has to make. I'm not trying to be rude, but he has to have more of a feel for the game and slow down. All the film that I've watched of him lately, and I've watched a ton of film on him, he's obviously playing against kids that are 5-6 inches shorter than him in this Canadian league that I'm not a fan of. But when it comes down to it, when he's against some of these guys that are in this combine that are his size, his length, he's going to show it. Hey, I'm quickening you off the ball. His playmaking ability, like I said, he's not afraid to make the right passes at the right time. And on defense, his length, his be able to move his feet laterally. This kid is a unicorn, and you just can't pass on that, man. I'm telling you. So whether we trade back, I'm seeing OKC's picks. I'm seeing the Rockets picks. And the later, I'm one of the two. There's plenty of options.
I want to put you guys on the spot. I want to put you and Ben on the spot because this is my thing. The thing is, with a lot of other Spurs fans in general, the consensus is, why doesn't the team just move up in the draft? Go ahead and package all the picks that they got, move up in the draft. If you guys feel that there's a franchise-changing player in the top 4, top 5, if that's the case, do you think the Spurs go ahead and do that and take a gamble? If there's a franchise-changing player, do you, in your opinion, is there one through 4?
1 through 4, definitely, but not right off the rip. When I say a franchise-changing player, these guys aren't going to score 20 points per game. They're going to have good moments, good flashes during the season. They're going to be able to take advantage of smaller opponents and mismatches. They know their game. They have a good feel for what they are. That's Chet, that's Paolo, that's Jabari. But right now, those 3 picks, I almost want to guarantee you, I almost want to put money on that Chet's going to go number 1 in Orlando. We were talking about the relationship with Jalen Suggs. He's been playing with him since the 3rd grade. Obviously, they didn't play with each other at Gonzaga, but those ties are obviously there. Back-to-back top recruits for the first time in history. And when it comes down to it, Mo Bamba's probably going to be gone. Slide in Chet at the 4, same position theoretically. You have Wendell Moore there, and you can sign a backup 5, or you can draft him. We were looking at me and Paul were looking at the power rankings when it comes down to these top 4 teams. And OKC, they have 4 picks. Orlando, they have 3 picks. Indiana has 3 picks, and they may not have like their position in the draft. And moving up is going to take a piece of our young core, Primo, Devin Vassell, and I don't want to do that. Not right now. That's for what? You can either grab a Sohan or a Leonard Miller, a starter level 6'11", 6'10" guy at 9, or bank on Jake LaRavia, John Butler, and one of these later picks that fit the Spurs mold of what they can provide day one. I know they may not be rotation ready. They're never going to be playoff or play-in ready, but you build on that and you take the best player available.
Yeah.
And
Let me read some comments here. We got some comments coming in from YouTube. Rush C says, Paolo, potential to be a franchise player for OKC. He also put Chet to the Rockets to play with. Green, he'll bulk up. And then he also says, who got 9? The Knicks, right? And I was like, yeah, I think it was the Knicks at 9. And Anthony Davis on YouTube says, the rookies look so sad when the Magic got the first pick.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
And Kevin Smith, the last comment here from YouTube, he goes, no point guards or shooting guards, please no. Well, I mean, if they're big guards, I mean, why not, right?
I want to make it very clear, and Ben, I'll pass it to you. Leonard Miller is, and Dyson Daniels. I'm more high on Leonard Miller though. Leonard Miller makes all the sense in the world to take at 9. If Keegan Murray isn't there, if the top 3, top 4 plays out to where they are, I feel like Shaedon Sharp's going to be a king. That means Jaden Ivey's going to be a top 5. Maybe he'll fall depending on who can move up. So yeah, there's a lot to figure out. I want to pass it to Ben. I know he has a lot to say.
That's true. I do have a lot to say. I don't know how much of it is meaningful, but we'll find out.
Hit us with the knowledge, Ben. Hit us with the knowledge.
Leonard Miller at 9 scares me mostly because I haven't done the research that Evan has, so he's very confident in what he's seen. So I trust Evan with that. But at 9, I think I'm liking Jeremy Sohan the most, assuming somebody doesn't fall, of course. As for the question regarding moving up into the top 4, it's harder than you think. It's
No doubt.
there might be teams, one of those 4 teams might be saying they're shopping the first pick or one of those top 4 picks, but they're not always willing to really part with them. These teams hold a lot of sentimental value to these picks, even though they haven't used it on a player yet. And they may not have even decided who they want to use it on. So for that reason, a lot of people end up overpaying for a top 4 pick, which is crazy to say, but it's possible and it can happen, and it has happened. Ask the Golden State Warriors in what was it, 93, when the Magic fleeced them for something like 6 first-round picks or 6 picks total over the course of a few years. It's possible. Granted, that's why we have the Stepien rule, so that stuff doesn't happen. You're not trading picks in consecutive first round or consecutive years, rather. But I think if the Spurs are really trying to get into the first round, or the first 4 this year, they have a lot of work to do. It's not just going to be their 3 first rounders. That's just not going to satisfy people, and you probably have to throw in players for contract and salary cap reasons as well. There's probably a trade of a couple of players each way as well. But I think if the Spurs can sell people or sell one of those teams on, we'll give you our 9th pick and maybe we'll give you the 20th pick, but we're also going to give you one of the future firsts that we have. For whatever reason, people love their future first rounders. They love having the prospect of, we have a first rounder next year. Next year's draft is going to be better than this year's. That's always the belief. Almost always. People think, the 2022 draft is going to be way better than the 21 draft. Save your picks, try and save picks for that one. Or if you're the Thunder, you're just saying, well, we're just going to try and take picks everywhere because we don't care. But that's another story. That's very rare. That doesn't happen very often.
Well, the Thunder got picks to spare, Ben.
They have picks for years, literally years. I mean, there's no question there. I mean, if you can grab one of the Thunder picks, that's even better because frankly, they don't need all those picks. They're not going to have the roster space. I mean, we're talking about they've got the rights to basically a 7th grader right now. Think about it. I mean, it's nuts to think about, but that's the reality. They have first round picks through, I think, the 26th draft. So that's 4 years from now. So that's someone who's like a freshman in high school, maybe. I mean, they have the rights to a freshman high school right now, a freshman high school basketball player right now. So they will have to part with some of those, mostly because there's no way they can fit all those people on one roster. So maybe that's worth looking into. But I just think trading into the top 4 this year is going to be really hard unless one of those top 4 teams just absolutely says, well, I hate all of our options. We don't want anything to do with this draft. Let's move back. And I don't necessarily see that happen just because all of those teams can have a need met by one of the players that will be available in the top 4 to them.
Definitely. Let me look up this draft order real quick. And we do apologize. We were having some audio issues with the people in the background. That's Joe and Paul joining me here in the studio. Joe, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pass Paul the phone next time. And we should be straight from there on.
Yeah, no, we had an audio issue because for some reason when we went live, I don't know what happened, but something defaulted. So the only audio that was coming was from the webcam instead of from the studio audio. So I had to do the switch. So now they should be able to hear. But the people on Twitter Spaces right now, we won't be able to hear them unless you put the phone up to the mic. I got to get the return audio channel working for them.
For sure. Gotcha. Well, let's talk about one last prospect that could be the best fit at 9.
I want to say something real quick about Leonard Miller.
Yeah.
Okay, so regarding Leonard Miller, so he is expected, like Evan said, he's actually expected to go in the 2nd round on 35th. But Josh Primo kind of sets the precedent there because of the fact that he was also supposed to go in the 2nd round just last year, and the fact that the Spurs took him there with their first round pick. So I think that what Evan was saying is yes, the mocks are going to say that maybe Leonard should be in the 2nd round, but because the Spurs showed it last year, they are the one team that could go like surprise move and take him at number 9. Spot there in the 1st round.
And when it comes down to it, I know Spurs fans are going to say, we should have been more aggressive with more trade options, and we should have not bought out so-and-so and this and that. I want to say one quick thing about the naysayers and not the Spurs haters of the world, but the people who don't know what they're talking about. And I'll make this very quick. If you don't know the cap situation, and if you were talking about having Josh Richardson and Doug McDermott as a long-term piece on this team, yeah, Jay Rich came in, everyone embraced him, and yeah, Doug McDermott had a subpar season. I don't want to say his worst season since his rookie year, but its numbers say that. So teams know that the Spurs are going to try and dump these guys. That between them together, that's a max contract. It's over 26, 27 million, if I'm not mistaken. Right, Paul?
Yeah. Around there.
Yeah. And I just know that the naysayers, let's sign Zach LaVine, let's swing on Mo Bamba. The money that we have isn't going to be put into the wrong places. I know that's an obvious statement to make, but I can name all the free agents that don't fit the Spurs quote unquote pedigree, and I can name the ones that do, and all that would do is just spread more negativity, quote unquote. But right now, I'm thinking the Spurs are taking things slow. They don't want to get worse. Say it again.
Well, we got comments coming up on the screen here.
Got comments, perfect. They don't want to get worse. Sorry about that. But the Spurs are in the standpoint where they don't want to get worse. They're the 8th, 9th seed for 3-4 straight years, and we have to start moving up. Now, when that's the situation, when Pop only has 1 year, probably max in him left, you have to start building on who's going to be here for long term and start slowly dumping off the pieces that are not dead weight, but aren't just going to be have no place on this team 3-4 years from now. That's KBD in my opinion. That's possibly Zach Collins. This year was a proving point for a lot of people. I wasn't high on Trey Jones. Trey Jones earlier in other spaces was talked about as a top 5 backup point guard, which give or take is accurate. He's a great addition to DeJounte, and he held his own as a starter in a few occasions this year. Who's going to be our backup to him? Is it you banking on Primo? We need another combo guard. We need a versatile wing. We need a forward. We need a big man. In the draft, all those things, all the best players available, that's not going to happen. It's going to be very, very tough to get what the best what's best case scenario. It's almost impossible. We do have a request. I'm gonna get to him, and then we will get to comments. Joe, because I do see the comments. I'm gonna have Michael join the stage. I have to put the mic to the phone to the mic, correct?
Yeah.
Perfect. Alrighty.
You know what? I think I got you, man. I could do it.
Perfect. What's going on, Michael? Feel free to unmute yourself whenever you have them. Nope. What's going on, Michael? What's going on, boss? Feel free to unmute yourself whenever you have them. I can't hear him. I gotta mute him. Hey, sorry, Michael, man, you're breaking up. I can't hear you. And there's a delay, Joe. But
Yeah.
Michael, feel free, I'm gonna follow you, man. Feel free to DM me that question because it sounded like you were driving and we could not hear you. Sorry, that's more on us. But feel free to DM me, Joe, if you want to relay those questions while we're waiting on Michael. Super sorry about that, man. But yeah, we just couldn't hear you, boss.
Yeah, like some of the questions that were showing up on here was Rush C says they're going to get rid of one of the one and done rule in a couple of years by the time Bronny graduates. I guess that's what he's referring to OKC, and how many picks they got. Houston Oilers watching us from YouTube also says Kai Soto. They talk about him, or I missed that. So I guess they want to know a little bit more about Kai Soto.
Kai Soto is not
We
an
did
NBA
not
prospect.
talk about Kai Soto, sir. There is a good reason for this.
Kai Soto
He gets a lot of hype.
He has the biggest fan base army. You can don't even have to add him. You can say his name in any type of tweet, and as long as it's negative, people will bash you. So I'm sorry, but Kai Soto is a G League backup at most.
Man.
Sorry, but I don't know. I did just get Michael's question. Quote, I was talking about how realistic it is for the Spurs to trade into the late lottery using their picks in the 20s while attaching Lonnie Walker or expiring contract like Zach or Doug. Lonnie, I'm going to be honest, I feel like Lonnie's just going to walk.
They can't trade Lonnie anyway. That's legal.
Yeah. There's what was the rule, Paul?
They can't trade Lonnie because he's a free agent. So
And he's restricted, correct?
yeah.
They can match. They'd have to. Yeah.
As long as they free agent restricted free agent, they wouldn't be able to put him in a trade package.
Yeah.
Unless it was signed a trade agreement, but that usually doesn't happen with first round picks, especially because it would have to happen after 2022.
And that's a 60-day process, correct?
Yeah, it takes a while. There's
Yeah.
they have to wait basically after July 1st. It takes a while.
Wow. Gotcha. Well, so in my opinion, I'm a tail end on that.
I like this comment here by Xavier. He's watching us on YouTube, and he puts, knowing the Spurs history, they'll waste the pick on a European player.
Now let's talk about that. Ben, I know we gave the Ousmane Dieng and Nikola Jovic discourse earlier. With the 20th or the 25th pick, you have a chance to grab somebody who's not, I don't want to say a stash, but somebody who is going to be in Austin to work on his game and not have any pressure to come to San Antonio to develop his game year one, possibly year two. And that is somebody like Ousmane Dieng, like a Nikola Jovic, who have a slight amount of bust potential. It's more along lines of work ethic and being able to fill out some of their holes on defense and their ability to finish at the rim. But I do like one of them, not both. You can't have both. And when it comes down to it, Jovic has terrible defense, no real effort there. And when it comes, and Ousmane, I don't feel like he'll fall to 20. We'll probably have to trade up. Like I said, Doug is going to be a tough piece to move. $13 million for that type of productivity at that age. It'll be different if he had multiple games with 3 or 4 3-point performances, outbursts, and had previous Doug McDermott years. But last year, I know he finished the year injured. He's a great cutter, great 3-point shooter, but everything else is just not there. He should not be starting as a forward, and that's it, man.
So we say that, but he still shot 42% from 3 on 5 attempts a game, which was that's the most he's attempted per game in his entire career. So he may have had some spotty performances, but he overall in the 51 games he played, he started all 51 of those games. Yeah, his scoring was a little down. It's still not even one of his worst seasons, I would say, as far as the scoring goes. But there were times where he looked kind of out of place. But to answer Michael's question from earlier, actually, about potentially getting back into the lottery with other picks, I think you could absolutely and realistically package that 20, 25, 38 and potentially get maybe a 12, 13, or 14, and you get 2 lottery picks. And you do that, if you're the Spurs, you're frankly making it much harder to screw up. You're giving yourself a greater opportunity of getting guys you want, and you're not as worried about filling out spaces on your roster. Yes, you still have to make some decisions in regards to Josh Richardson, in regards to Doug McDermott and a couple other guys. But for the most part, you can take those 2 guys you'll take in the lottery. They become part of your roster. They potentially both play that season and get minutes in San Antonio. They'll probably spend a little bit of time in Austin, but there's certainly potential they play a lot more in San Antonio. But if they do keep those later picks, I mean, you're talking potentially about a guy I know you really like, Hugo Bisson, who is, he's a guard. I think he's listed 6'3" right now. Could help with being Trey Jones's potential backup. So I think you've definitely got options in this draft for, maybe not necessarily a draft and stash, but a draft and send down. Or, I wish there was a clever way of saying that, but
we got
draft, send him up to Austin.
I want to talk about.
We got some comments here that I got to read real quick too, because we've been getting some interaction from some of our viewers. And Houston Oilers is watching us on YouTube. Had a rebuttal to Evan. He says, "Relax, bro. Don't bite my head off. I was just asking. I'll go unclench my cheeks from the hurt."
Let's talk about Kai Soto. Yeah, listen, man. Kai Soto's not an NBA prospect. I understand. He's the memeable, more laughable prospect that a lot of people want to talk about. But let's not take him serious. I'm sorry. I want to talk about somebody real quick that Ben mentioned and I could follow up on. That is Hugo Bisson. Hugo Bisson, you've been mentioned he's the backup to Trey. This dude is a combo guard. He's 6'4", can play just as well off ball than on ball. A great catch and shoot threat. I've said this many times. He is a Patty Mills replacement. What I mean by that is that he can play the 2. He can play the 1. Like I said, he's a combo guard. And coming off the bench, playing next to Primo, playing next to DeJounte, having a playmaker that can take the right shots. And one thing that I mentioned earlier in the space, one of my friends, Rich, he actually went to one of his runs in Dallas and actually met Hugo himself. This guy never plays pickup basketball. This dude is from France. He played in New Zealand for the Breakers and the NBL, and they play team basketball. They play set basketball. That sounds like the Spurs. He literally is the more patient, higher IQ guard that will be available at 25. And I was in the space earlier, and this guy said he had him at 44. So if he falls to 38, that is a steal, and that's something I would die for. He screams Spurs pedigree, man. I just
You're
love his
not
game.
allowed to call him Patty Mills, though, only because he's not Australian.
Fair enough.
That is the only reason.
Honestly, man, I know Patty Mills and his place and how he kind of dismayed and how people forgotten about him. Imagine that, but with a rookie scale contract and not the same development year 1, but maybe year 2, year 3, and having that next to Primo, so you don't have to have him pressured to be on ball. I know the turnover problems he had in the G League. I can't say he'll fix that over the summer, but when it comes down to it, having somebody that takes the pressure off of him to make that happen. DeJounte gets hurt. Trey Jones gets hurt. You don't want to put him in that position. I mean, you could, but we would probably lose. He'd probably have 3 turnovers in the first half and get frustrated. I've seen multiple occasions on him when I went to the games in Austin, where he gets all the first looks. If his first 3 or 4 shots don't fall, the dude is down on himself. He gets back in the game. He's confident, but it's just like that type of stuff as a rookie is super important. And Josh Primo, let me tell you, we'll talk about him for a second. He's somebody that I do not want to move up on when it comes down to this trade or this draft. I know a lot of fans were saying, oh, we got to keep Devin, got to keep Keldon. They've proven they have more of a high ceiling. Not my opinion, man. Josh Primo can be a second option on this team. He can be a future 6 man. I've said on multiple occasions he has Anthony Simons, Tyler Hero-like scoring abilities, and as a two guard, coming off screens, literally no pressure. This guy is going to be a demon down the line. His confidence right now as an 18-year-old is through the roof, and I know for a fact if he stays with us long term, he'll have much success. So we're gonna open the room to more questions.
Hey, you got a rebuttal here though.
Oh man, some beef.
Yeah, man.
Uh-oh.
Rush C watching us from YouTube. He goes, all those guys you're mentioning aren't future franchise stars, just role players. Laugh out loud. I could be wrong though. And our good friend Rudy Campos also says, if Duran is gone before 9, I'm circling AJ Griffin Jr. as a potential grab. He doesn't fall in my first mock draft, but never know. And I'm going to put the other 2 comments up here for you, Evan, so you can see.
For sure.
Houston Oilers putting his comment up there. Just asking another question. Don't murder me, but would you all be willing to trade DJ to move up in the top 3?
No.
You got another comment here too. Let's see, put that on.
Just trading DeJounte Murray, bro.
It's Martin Murray. He says any projected franchise star will be gone by 9.
False, super false. So, project picks. Hugo Bisson, Ousmane Dieng, Leonard Miller, Jake LaRavia. These guys don't have superstar potential, but they can be stars in this league that can have 20-point per game performances, can have two-way like attributes on both sides on all-star level production, and later down the line. And when it comes down to it, this isn't a deep draft, but this is a top 20 draft for that alone. Anybody past the first round may not make a second contract in this league. You know what I'm saying? I know the history and this and that. We talked about it earlier in the space, but I'm looking at what I'm feeling right now, and the EJ Liddells of the world, like I said, the Jake LaRavias of the world. These guys are floating in that first round, early second round range, depending on the team. And if you're the Spurs, you need to just have a super, super, super in-depth conversation with these guys when you're bringing them in for this draft process and ask them what they can do for us, what they think can do for us day one. And a lot of these guys aren't going to be in San Antonio. A lot of these guys are going to be in Austin, like you said. But that's just my opinion. You can't bank on somebody year one, no matter where they pick, not being an all-star. I can name a few examples, but we all know who the first one is. That's
Tavarius on YouTube has a comment for you too. He says, I disagree with you, Evan, on Vassell.
Who said that?
Tavarius watching us from YouTube.
Oh, my man. It's crazy. People think Tavarius is like my family member. It's hilarious, but no.
You on blood?
Tavarius, no, literally, Tavarius is a great guy. I've seen him in multiple spaces, but I see his next question: who's the best 4 or 5 after Duran? Realistically, I want to say Sohan or Suhan, but Keegan Murray definitely takes that spot. He's not going to be there at 9, but yeah, Keegan Murray is. I can't give player comparisons and make him a definite for sure. But right now, I feel like he'll be a Tobias Harris type player. Year one, he can't get to the rim. He has flashes of 2 dribble pull-ups, being able to be a good defender. He's older. People know his game. He knows his game. He's established. But yeah, you got to go Sohan because Keegan Murray's not going to be there past 9.
Yeah, we got another comment here from our good friend Rudy Campos. He says, there are no franchise stars in this draft outside of the first few, but there are stars all through the first round.
That's the best way to put it. And Ben, I know you have an opinion, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's anybody can say, oh, well, you're not going to find an all-star. You're not going to find a franchise changer at 9. Do you know of many drafts where they believe that all top 10 or all lottery guys are franchise changers? Do you know how special? Do you know how good those guys have to be franchise changers? So, yes, obviously, number 9, you're probably not going to get a franchise changer. But I'm sure the Denver Nuggets didn't think they were getting a franchise changer at number 41, did they, when they got Nikola Jokic? So you really don't know what can happen. If your scouting is good, you trust your guys, you trust your front office to make good decisions, to scout the right guys. They trust their scouts and their evaluations. You can find a guy who will immediately help your team. Again, maybe not a franchise changer, but someone who will immediately help your team. And the Spurs have a great track record of finding those guys really outside of the lottery. Of course, with the exception of David Robinson and Tim Duncan, both number 1 guys. They have shown that they can find dudes outside of the lottery who will be maybe not franchise changers, but you could say game changers, season changers. I mean, Manu Ginobili was almost the last pick in the draft. Tony Parker at the time was a second-round draft pick. Thanks for having only 28 teams in the league. But, there are plenty of guys like that. And with the Spurs having so many picks, they have so many more opportunities to go and find those guys. So I wouldn't just discount the Spurs number 9 pick or their other picks as just, oh, well, there's no franchise changer, so those picks don't matter. Those picks always matter. They will forever and always matter. You can go through the list of every single pick in NBA history, and you can say there was a guy at X pick who was an all-timer. There was a guy who was found at the 15th pick. That was an all-timer. There was a guy who was found at, obviously, the 41st pick. He's going to be an all-timer. I mean, Manu Ginobili, an all-timer. You can find those guys anywhere in the draft. So just I would say be a little open-minded. Be supportive of whoever the Spurs go after, unless, of course, they just absolutely fall on their face, which I don't think they will. But I would also expect potentially a trade on draft night. And it may not be the 9th pick, but it may be their other 3 picks because Paul and I have talked about this before on the Spurs cast and offline, that the Spurs just don't have the roster space to take on 4 guys right now unless they do something drastic, which I'm not sure they want to do. So keep that in consideration. Have an open mind about the 9th pick. And just be chill, man.
Yeah. Well, on that note, being chill, we got to start wrapping things up because
scrimmages, we get to see measurables. It's going to be a good week. Just enjoy it.
Yeah, we're going to start bringing out the 5-minute warning here. We're running low here on battery with Evan for the Twitter Spaces.
But I have somebody who tweeted me, asked about what about Jalen Duran. We did talk about Jalen Duran earlier. I'll give you a quick little 30-second rundown. At 9, especially if you keep Jakob, Jalen Duran is a great backup center who has potential to be the best small ball 5 center for us. Like no matter what, no matter if we get Jalen Smith, no matter if we swing from Obamba, Sohan, his ability to block shots, not to defend the rim. When I say defend the rim, he goes for the highlight block shots, and if it's not that, it's a foul for the most part, or he's toppling over somebody because he's almost at someone's shoulder when he's trying to jump from across the lane. I love his game. I love his ability to develop, but right now, I feel like he could possibly not be there at 9. I'm looking at the draft board. I'm looking at the Trailblazers. I'm looking at the Pacers possibly. They have big men who reportedly don't want to be there. And, Jalen Duran is the best center available, definite starter no matter what. We'll see what his measurements are. He can move his feet very well, a lob threat. But right now, I really don't think that he'll be there at 9. I could be completely wrong. We'll see what happens, but that's just my opinion.
All right. Any closing here? Anybody want to add anything? Paul, did you got anything you wanted to say?
No, just something. I guess just something that I'm thinking about more often is maybe packaging 2 of those first round picks, the 9 and 20, the 9 and 25, kind of something like that. If they want to move into that 5 to 7 range, 5 to 8 range, 5 to 7 range, I really feel like if there's a prospect they want there, somebody like Keegan Murray, I think that's way more. That's what there's a better chance of that happening rather than them trying to get into the top 3. Because that just looks almost impossible. I just don't see those 3 teams giving up, any of those 3 picks for any of the players that the Spurs have or their assets.
And I am adding Jay Kerr on stage. I've seen him before in spaces while he's getting connected. Oh, yeah, he's there. Jay Kerr, what's going on, man? The floor is yours. Maybe not. Jay Kerr, are you there? 3, 2. Yes, sir.
Last year in March, our guy we shared a lot about was Herb Jones. If you remember, I was a big fan of Herb Jones. I thought he was forced out with defense.
Yes.
And I think, and my guy this year is Keegan Murray. And I really think I've seen a lot of. It's obviously very early. We're just off the draft, the lottery real quick. And I'm seeing a lot of the way some of the writers are kind of taking their intel and they're showing like it looks like Keegan might. There's a possibility he's not going to drop to 9, but he could drop to 7.
Yep.
And if that happens, in my opinion, they got to go. This kid, I'm telling you, Keegan Murray. I watched this kid probably started in January. He's not a franchise guy, quote unquote. But this guy, he's going to change things. He's so good at this guy. In my opinion, he's past Elton Johnson. He actually perfect fit for the roster. I mean, you draft a kid like him, and you go out and try to kind of back to or whatever, they go from that. That's how good I think he is. Now, and might get big, I don't know. He's been big on Duran. He's big on Duran. I'm not a Duran fan. He's a little too long. I think he's center, and I think that's kind of complicates things for him. But I really love the idea of packaging whatever they can get Keegan because I really believe after those big guys are gone, and they're not going to get them because it's too expensive to do it. I don't think they have it. Even if they wanted to get in there, I don't think they have the assets to get there. But after those big 3 guys, Bankero and Holmgren, I really think Murray and Steve Evans more fit, and he is perfect for his team. He's like picture perfect.
Yeah, he's definitely the ideal fit. He's gotten super hyped by a ton of people really since January and February when those college games mattered more and people and football is finally over and the fair weather basketball fans came out to play, but Yes, all of what you said, all of it. I love what he does. I also happen to think that he would space the floor incredibly well for this team. You get younger. He was a guy who took on a huge role for Iowa. I mean, I think he had a top 5 PER in the country, despite being the guy at Iowa and the guy that defenses zoned in on, and the guy who had to carry that offense at times.
Definitely. We do have to wrap things up here. I will get to a couple of these comments we're seeing. Keegan Murray, man, I'm sorry, bad guy. We won't be able to get to you. I'm telling you, man, my phone is about to die. I'm sorry.
You're probably already like at 3% or 2.
It's at 2, man. Listen, the few comments I have on Keegan Murray, he needs to be able to play make at the NBA level because teams will be able to know what he'll be able to bring to the table day one. He likes to go left, 2 dribbles, pull up. He likes to fake like he's getting to the lanes, half spin, pull it from mid range, and that's there. He made a lot of great impressions doing that this year. But in the NBA level, I promise you, it may not be there day one. The last comment we'll get into: does Leonard Miller play like KG? Hell no. Kevin Garnett, no. 6'11", I know he's tall, but Leonard Miller is a guard. Leonard Miller is Lamar Odom as a rookie. Leonard Miller play makes and has point guard intangibles of a veteran. I know that sounds crazy, but that is the dead truth. Before we go, I want to say thank you. I want to say I appreciate everyone for stopping by. Joe did an amazing job. Joe Garcia is in the audience. Make sure you follow him. We're here in the studio, and he's done a great job with this setup. Paul is also with us. It was great linking with him as well. Ben is on audio doing his thing, and we definitely appreciate you guys. We'll be back next week with more spaces and with more content. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to DM us at any point in time. We will get more draft content out daily when it comes down to it after the combine, during the combine. So like I said, thank you everyone for stopping by. And anyone have any closing remarks?
No, just thank you for everybody who's interacted with us. We greatly appreciate, you guys interacting with us and keeping the show going. It makes it a lot more fun, So again, we appreciate you guys just taking a listen to the show, and make sure you go and follow Project Spurs, on Twitter, and also make sure you go check out projectspurs.com for all the great content that we got coming out from our great staff here, great staff of writers and, live streamers, podcasters. Make sure you go and check out projectspurs.com.
Yes, sir. Ben, anything?
Again, thank you all for coming out. We appreciate you guys. Enjoy the rest of your night. Enjoy the start of the Eastern Conference Finals, and be your best petty selves when it comes to the Eastern Conference.
I got the Heat in 6, man. So
Heat in 6? No, Celtics in 7, man.
Heat in 6, man.
Celtics and Warriors in 5.
We got to put a little wager on it, man. I think.
Money talks. You guys have a good one.
All right, guys. We'll see y'all later.